Why some San Diego retirees are house rich and cash poor. Hello, everybody. My name is Roxanne Gavari with Pemberley Realty here in San Diego, California, along with my partner, San Diego Garen.
Hello, everyone. Looking forward to this topic. Pretty interesting. How are retirees house rich and cash poor? What's going on?
So, believe it or not, some retirees here in San Diego
Yeah,
have a $2 million house that's paid off, but they struggle to pay $5,000 per month for expenses.
that's pretty interesting. I mean, with inflation, the current state of the country, I mean, I think that's very, you know,
Well, a lot of it is because uh, real estate prices have gone up a lot, right? But incomes have not caught up. And if you're on fixed income, then inflation hits, everything starts to get more expensive. Your income doesn't necessarily keep up with the rate of inflation. Your real estate does keep up, right? But you can't just it's not a balloon that you can poke a hole in and start draining money out of it. You
right.
could, if you start, if you uh, get a home equity loan and start getting some of your equity out of your home that way,
Mhm.
but it's not as easy as poking a hole into a balloon.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's basically how it works. The value of the home is a lot more. You could be drawing on a 401k account, you could be drawing on Social Security, but still, on paper, you're a millionaire, but in reality, um, there's a lot of expenses that you have to cover, and property taxes, especially if the house is paid off. If the house is paid off, then you're paying for property taxes, insurance, utilities, home maintenance, medical expenses, all of these things out of pocket, and you don't really have a way to tap into the equity of your home. So um,
That's very interesting because then, how would you be able to tap into that, 2 million? Is there a way around it? What can these retirees do to be a little bit more, affluent? And,
mhm.
you know, do they have to resort on selling their property? What options are there?
Um, I think I think obviously, selling the property, you can definitely look into that. The issue with selling the property is that you are still looking at a lot of capital gains that you would have to pay.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
So if you don't mind that capital gain payment, you can definitely do that. And the fortunate thing is that you're sitting on a lot of equity in the state of California, and we are one of the most expensive states within the country. So if you cashed out, even if you had to pay capital gains, you could still get out of California and into a more moderately priced state, and you can still make things work. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, I have had a number of clients that have done exactly that. They've sold their homes in California, and then they moved into states that were not as expensive and were able to retire that way. So that's definitely something that you could do. You could also, sell and get into something less expensive here in San Diego, and preserve some of that cash for your everyday expenses. Or you could look into doing a reverse mortgage, and
Yeah, what about a reverse mortgage? Because I mean, a lot of people hear that, and they're like, "Oh, they're stealing your money," or some people are like, "That's a good thing." What are your thoughts on reverse mortgages?
one thing about reverse mortgage is that Once you get into a reverse mortgage, for as long as you stay in that home, they cannot get you out of your home. So you get to live in that home until you die.
Hmm.
So that's one of the things that is a benefit to a reverse mortgage, where you know that you can stay in that house and you don't have to worry about having to get displaced. Another thing about reverse mortgages is reverse mortgage purchase, where you can sell that home, you can then buy something cheaper, and so that you free up some of that money that you have access to out of the equity of your home, and then with the with the remainder of the equity that you have, you can actually use that to purchase a new home, and then start basically start the reverse mortgage on the new home.
Yeah.
So that's another option that you could do. The other option is, if you have a lot of equity, you can just get a home equity line of credit, and then and then pull that money out, put it into either a money market account or into an investment account, and you draw on that money to live your life. Because at the end of the day, we all can anticipate like a certain amount of years that you were going to live. And you can always say, okay, I'm going to live until I'm 105. I mean, in general, that's the max of a human life that that we know of, right? So if you calculate, okay, I need $5,000 a month, that's like $60,000 a year for expenses, and then adjust for inflation for like 5% every year, you
Hmm.
can pretty much calculate how much money you need until 105.
Yeah.
Right. So so you can do all of those calculations. Either you can do all of those calculations, or your realtor can help you do all of
Yeah.
those calculations.
Yeah.
So so that's another thing that you could do, right? um Now, I know we've had this discussion about capital gains and how it would be beneficial if the government adjusted those capital gains, but that was a discussion for about 2 seconds, and then it just went away.
What's the
So
current capital gain number that the
I believe between state and federal, it's about 35%,
yeah.
and it's based on $250,000 of a tax-free money per spouse. So if you're single, it's 250,000. If you're married, it's 500,000. And any gain above that, then you're taxed at a rate of 35%. Which again, we're talking about the state of California. Other states may be different in terms of how much they charge for capital gains.
Yeah, I mean, if you do the math for like $1 million home, uh,
That would be $350,000.
yeah, I mean, you subtract the 500,000 from the million, right?
Okay, so yes, you're right. I'm just simplifying it. So if on $1 million home, let's say you bought that home for 200,000, so your base was 200,000, and then it's a couple, so that's 500, so that's 700. So you have to pay capital gains on $300,000, and let's see, for $300,000
That's
at
like a hundred thousand
35,
dollars.
that's $100,000 exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is better than $300,000, but
I
not
mean,
as
a
good as
hundred
nothing.
thousand, that's basically like, 1/10 of the sale price. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So so yeah, so options are, you could stay put and do nothing and just be cash poor. uh, you know, you can downsize, right? You can sell and move to a cheaper place. You move out of state. Just get into something that's more affordable, right? You can relocate out of state. and you can do reverse mortgage. Um, but here's the part that we don't talk about as much, and that is the emotional side of it, right? All the memories that you have built in the house, the family gatherings, the parties, the kids growing up in the house, the friends that you've made in the neighborhood, and just the fear of having to make a move. Those are all issues that you would have to deal with if you are selling. So the question becomes, are you
Worth it, yeah.
staying because it's financially smart, or because it's just there's a lot of personal attachment?
Yeah.
And then what would be the best thing to do?
Yeah.
I remember my aunt and uncle had this house. It was a huge house with a beautiful yard and a nice pool, and
Mhm.
also an indoor area for a ping pong table that we as kids loved to go there and just go in the pool, play ping pong, and play with the dog, and just loved it. Um, and then when it came, so when they started getting older, and when it came to actually selling that house, I was devastated because I was like, all these memories that we had in this house, what's going to happen to all the memories that we have in this house? But
And you didn't even
that,
live there, huh?
and I didn't even live there. Exactly. I didn't even live there.
Hmm. Yeah.
But that house provided not only for my aunt and uncle's retirement years, but it also became a source of revenue for my cousins. To this day, one of my cousins, pretty much, if with the share that they gave her, she was able to buy two businesses, and to this day, she is living off of those two businesses that were purchased based on the sale of that family home,
Yeah.
that gave her a way to live a life 30 years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
So let's discuss some scenarios, right? So you're a widow, you're 78 years old, you're living alone in a home that's 3,000 square feet. uh, what would you do?
I think 3,000 square feet is a lot if you're living by yourself, I think.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
at that point I would consider downsizing if I was,
Downsizing.
yeah.
Okay. Another scenario: married couple, 68 years old, they're healthy, they have great retirement income, and they're also living in a house 3,000 square feet. Uh, and uh, and what would you do? Would you stay or would you go?
I think that one probably stay. I mean, if they're making good retirement income, I think probably
Yeah,
staying is the best option on that.
yeah, I would agree. I can think of two cases though,
Hmm.
where both our clients opted out to actually sell, pay off the um, capital gains, and move on.
Mm.
One was a case of a widower whose wife had passed away, kids had moved out. House was 4,500 square feet, two-story with 5 bedrooms, and so we sold the house, and he moved into a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house of 1,500 square feet. And I know that he was happy as a clam, that he didn't have to take care of that super big house, and was just so happy he didn't have to take care of a big house like that.
Yeah, I think just
Another.
yeah, just the scenario that you're in, all contributes to the best decision you can make. So,
Exactly, exactly. And I think you have to, you have to consult with your realtor and figure out what is maybe your realtor, maybe your financial advisor, and figure out what's the best course of action for you, right?
right.
Um, I do remember there was another scenario. These clients that were in their late 50s, they were living in a house that was 3,500 square feet, and it was in the suburbs with a pool and a really, really nice backyard and everything. And the kids had already grown up and had left the house. And they wanted to live. They wanted to live, especially the wife. She wanted to live. So so they sold that house, and I even at the time when we were selling that house, I was thinking, oh my God, this is such a beautiful house. But I could see she wanted to be closer to the beach. She wanted to be walking distance to restaurants and shops and have that beach
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Uh,
So they moved from the 3,500 square feet to almost about 1,400 square foot house, and by the beach, and just completely changed their lifestyle. And yes, even in that case, they had to pay a lot of capital gains to get out of the bigger house. But life is short. Why not enjoy it the way that you want it? If life changes.
I agree. I agree.
So, so yeah, so let's consider a third scenario, right? Um, Retiree with limited savings, and expenses are increasing. They have a lot of equity in the home, but not a lot of cash.
I think in this case, probably selling would probably be a better option. But if you do want to live in that property, maybe the reverse mortgage is a good option.
Reverse mortgage or a home equity line, even
Yeah,
though
or the credit
even
line.
though if you're thinking about a home equity, it's still at the end of the day, it still is almost the same as a reverse mortgage if you think about it, because you're still pulling out your equity.
Yeah,
You still have to pay that money back, and you don't have the assurance that a reverse mortgage gives you, because at least with a reverse mortgage, you can stay in the house.
yeah,
But if you're pulling equity out of the house, you have to pay that money back, or else they will take the house away
yeah.
if you are unable to
Okay.
make the payments.
Yeah.
So decisions.
Yep. And I think everyone's different, so everyone's got different scenarios that they would have to go
Yeah,
through. So
yeah. And I think part of it is kids definitely play a role into that, because sometimes if you don't have any kids and you don't have any heirs, then reverse mortgage is a great option,
yeah,
because you just have to take care of yourself, and then after that you don't care what's going to happen to the house. But if you have kids, you do care what happens to the equity that's in the house, because you want to pass it on to the kids. So those are some of the things that you have to consider if you're thinking, reverse mortgage, home equity loan. Like, for example, if you have to get a home equity loan, but you have kids that are able to help you pay that balance off, then okay, maybe home equity loan is a better option. So again, I think involving the whole family and having the whole family give you advice, and also, you know, talk about financials in the long term, that definitely is something that would have to be discussed before any permanent decision is made.
yeah. I agree with that. Definitely.
So. All right, very good. Well, let's get to the point that um, is important, because all these discussions have to be discussed on a individual basis as well. So If you are thinking of buying or selling, you can give me a call, or you can give Santiago a call. You can also check us out at our website, hemberleyrealty.com. We are also love a follow on our Instagram channel or on our Facebook handle. And of course, if you are watching us on YouTube, what do you want them to do?
Thumbs up, subscribe. Make sure you can tune in on all the videos that we're putting up on there, with amazing guests, with great topics and stuff that everybody should know about.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and make it a great day.
Bye, everyone. See you on the next one.